Alright, before I do any kitchen work, I'm going to show you this strut in broad daylight so you see how badly it failed. So, see that gigantic missing piece of metal? That's supposed to be there. So what it did was the spring seat broke and it bent and it shoved itself into the tire. That's what that mud mark is right there from when the tire was rubbing. So, major fail. Alright, so here's my fail strut. Before I do anything today in the kitchen, I got to put this back together. So you can see how this big chunk of metal broke off of the spring seat and it kind of sheared the metal, and then what happened was the spring seat bent into the tire. So you can see this bend here. This whole thing just totally failed. So yeah, that wasn't good. So what I did was I took it off the van. Here's a picture in broad daylight. You can see this a little bit better. So the strut connects the wheel spindle up to the body of the car up in here. And you see all that rust? Well, that's ready to be a problem too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit that with a wire brush, get all that rust off there, then shoot it up with some Rust-Oleum, let it dry for a couple of minutes, and then put this thing back together. So this isn't going to take long at all because all the bolts are already disconnected and loose and ready to be retightened. So it should go together a lot quicker than it took to take it apart. Alright, first thing I gotta do is get this rust out of here. Or try to get it out of here at least. Get the most out of it I can. So this is a wire brush on a drill. This isn't anything fancy, just brute force and ignorance. Alright, that's good enough for me. I looked around in my workbench. All I had was yellow paint. That's good enough for me. Of course the nozzle's freaking clogged. Story of my life, every freaking time. So here's my fail paint. You can see if I got a nozzle that's gonna work. I'll be right back. Okay, here's a tip. When you got a spray nozzle that's not working, grab a nozzle off of something that is working. In this case, I had some silicone lubricant. The nozzle was clear on that, so I just shoved the nozzle on that, and now this thing is spraying. So if you can't get your spray paint can to work, grab something that is working and use that nozzle. Just make sure you, when you swap it back over, you spray some stuff through it and clear it back out again. Alright, I switched the nozzle back off the paint, put it back on this thing here, and you got to make sure you give it a spray just to make sure any paint in there is out. So now that nozzle's re-cleared back out. This one here is a fail nozzle. I'm just going to leave it in there, put this cover on. And keep in mind that just because the nozzle works doesn't mean you're not going to make a mess of your hand, because the nozzle that worked was meant to shoot out silicone spray in a stream. So it's not the right orifice size for doing paint. So it's kind of a compromise between not working at all and kinda working good enough. So I got that brushed out. I got some paint up in there. I know it's not pretty, but it was just, I had to just cover up that rust that I wire brushed off. So now I can put the strut back in there and I got a nice clean surface. It's not rusty. So I'm going to give that 5-10 minutes to dry, and I'm going to put the new strut in. Meanwhile, I'll unpack it from the box. I don't want to destroy the box just in case it's the wrong part. I'll bring it back. Alright, it's got the spring in it. Changing these springs can be deadly. There we go. Alright. So there's the new strut. Bad boy's going in. We got a warning label. What's that say? Warning, warning! Spring under compression. Do not remove nut. Serious injury may result. Yep. I'm not going to do that. Alright, so we got this apart. First thing I want to do is make sure the bolt pattern is in the right orientation to the strut mount. So let me get the old one up here and make sure everything's the same. So we get this piece straight up and down. The bolt pattern looks, that's the way the bolt pattern's got to be. Alright, so here's the old one. Piece of crap. So there's that flat piece. Yeah, it looks like the bolt pattern's about in the right spot. So, yep. So here you get a better look at this one. See how that spring seat is, the whole thing is like that. Yeah, that's how where it failed. So you see it's cracked all the way around. Right there, right here. It failed right on this piece here. You see how the spring's kind of, see how it's, the spring is pushed to the right hand side and this isn't centralized to the spring. So the whole thing just went crooked on me. Where this one here, see how everything is central? This shaft is central to the spring. So that's the good one. Okay, I'm going to put this in now and get the van back on the road. All right. Stay. Okay, the new strut is in. So let me give you an idea. So this is the bottom of the strut. See how I can get like my whole hand in here? See how much clearance it is from here to there? My old strut, this surface was all the way against the wheel. So, huge difference in the gap. It looks like the whole spring must have just like collapsed down about an inch all the way around. So that was a pretty substantial failure. So plenty of room now. Here's a picture of what it looked like before I started. Well, I came for a little test drive with the new strut to see how it's behaving. I'm down at the Windsor boat launch. We have some very high water. It's up over the ramp, it's up over the parking lot, it's even into the picnic area. So if you got a canoe, you can still picnic if you feel like it. But this is a good day to not be out on the river. The water's high, it's running fast. We had an awful lot of rain and it's washing down. So soon we'll have this riverbank full of anglers fishing for shad. And this is typical this time of year that the water comes up pretty high. So we're going to just let things drain out and then we'll get our poles and we'll do some shad fishing. Even though today is Sunday, Manny came by and he grouted this last little area that needed to get grouted. So it's just a couple of courses, and that leads into the hallway here. So that's finished. We have a cardboard on it, so when we walk on it, we don't get any dirt on the grout while it dries. So that's all set. So that's one loose end tied down. Then over here in the back, where the refrigerator is going to go, this was the last course. He had a grout, just this very last one in the back, this half tile all the way across. So that's been grouted. So that's another loose end that's taken care of. So we're looking good on the floor. The floor is 100% done now. And we can shift our attention on this wall will be next, which will be a backsplash that would go above the counters on the bottom and the cabinets on the top. So this is the next area to get tiled, but we're not ready for that yet because we still have to put in the cabinets.